What causes muscle fatigue during strenuous exercise? When blank is not delivered to muscles quickly enough, blank respiration occurs. Okay, so oxygen is not delivered to muscles quickly enough. Anaerobic respiration occurs, resulting in the accumulation of lactic acid in the muscles which feel fatigued. Anaerobic respiration is defined as the blank reactions in cells that break down nutrient molecules to release blank without using blank. Okay, so I think as the cellular reactions in cells that break down nutrient molecules to release energy without using oxygen. And then anaerobic respiration takes place in the cytoplasm. Okay. Explain what happens to the lactic acid that accumulates in the muscles after strenuous exercise. Use the words below to complete the statement. Okay. The blank diffuses from the blank into the blank. It will be carried to the... Okay, so the lactic acid diffuses from the muscles into the liver to be carried... into the blood to be carried to the liver, where it is broken down into carbon dioxide and water. Yeah, this is in the book. It's generally just something that should be known. Takes place in the mitochondria, aerobic. Takes place in the cytoplasm, anaerobic. Oxygen is required, aerobic. Products include carbon dioxide and water, aerobic. Products include lactic acid, anaerobic. Products include alcohol and carbon dioxide, anaerobic. Large amounts of energy are released, aerobic. The precise site of aerobic respiration is the mitochondria. Okay, aerobic respiration is defined as the chemical reactions in cells that use blank to break down enzymes to break down nutrient molecules to release energy. During lactic acid fermentation, glucose is broken down without the use of oxygen to produce lactic acid. Unlike alcoholic fermentation, no carbon dioxide gas is released. Lactic acid fermentation occurs in blank cells when the circulatory and respiratory system cannot deliver enough oxygen. Okay, so it occurs in muscle cells when they cannot when the circulatory and respiratory system cannot deliver enough oxygen. Okay, glucose plus... Wait, let me see. Complete the equation below to describe the process of respiration. Okay, glucose plus oxygen, enzymes break them down, and the products are carbon dioxide and water. Whenever there's oxygen involved, it's aerobic respiration, and whenever it's aerobic respiration, the product will be carbon dioxide and water. Now, these are the reactants, and then these are the products. drag and drop chemical equations from the box to complete the equation of cellular respiration. Okay. Let's see. So H2O is water, carbon dioxide, and then here, there, and there. So you just have to memorize what they are. Okay. Complete the equation of lactic acid fermentation. Glucose gives us lactic acid and energy. Yeah. Right? Wait 1 second. Yeah. Okay. Next question. In human muscle cells, anaerobic respiration is referred to as lactic acid fermentation, while in yeast it is referred to alcoholic fermentation. Both types of anaerobic respiration does not require any oxygen and produce less energy than aerobic respiration. Complete the equations of anaerobic respiration in human muscle cells and in yeast. Drag and drop the terms. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so we start with glucose, and then in human cells, lactic acid fermentation happens, while in yeast, alcoholic fermentation happens, and then the products for lactic acid fermentation is lactic acid and energy, while for alcoholic fermentation it's alcohol, carbon dioxide, and energy. Okay, match each type of fermentation with its correct characteristics. Alcoholic fermentation occurs in yeast, produces alcohol, carbon dioxide, and energy. Occurs in bacteria. And here, lactic acid fermentation produces lactic acid and energy and occurs in human muscle cells. Differentiate between alcoholic and lactic acid fermentation by filling the table. Drag and drop the terms. Type of organism involved. Yeast. For alcoholic fermentation, it's yeast. Okay, wait. So the question before is wrong, sorry. Here. Occurs in bacteria is lactic acid. Why is it removing? There. Okay. Alcoholic fermentation occurs in yeast, and lactic acid fermentation occurs in bacteria. Now here, bacteria. Products are, for alcoholic fermentation, is alcohol, carbon dioxide, and energy. For lactic acid fermentation, the products are lactic acid and energy. Industry where it is used, yeast is used in brewing and baking. Lactic acid fermentation, it is and bacteria are used in cheese and yogurt production. Does it occur in animals? Alcoholic fermentation, no, and lactic acid fermentation, yes. Okay, circle the substance that traps the energy available in glucose during yeast fermentation. Okay, ATP. Yeah. Match each type of respiration to its corresponding description. Wait 1 second. Ethanol. Yeah, no. Okay, sorry. Match each type of respiration to its corresponding description. Anaerobic respiration does not require oxygen, while aerobic respiration does require oxygen. The reactants in anaerobic respiration include glucose molecules. Glucose. Sorry, I don't know how to spell. Did I get it right? Okay, I might get the spelling wrong, but it's fine. Wait. Okay. There we go. The products of aerobic respiration include carbon dioxide and water. The process of alcoholic fermentation is widely used in the brewing and baking industries, because fermentation happens in yeast, and yeast is used for brewing and baking. Okay, match the following. Anaerobic respiration does not require oxygen, includes lactic acid formation and alcoholic fermentation, releases a small amount of energy, and that's it. And then aerobic respiration requires oxygen, occurs in the cytoplasm and mitochondria, and produces carbon dioxide and water. Okay, the equation below summarizes the process of cellular respiration. Okay, complete the equation. Okay, glucose plus oxygen gives us carbon dioxide, water, and energy in aerobic respiration. In which organelle do most steps of this process occur? Mitochondria. Which of the following represents the equation of aerobic respiration? Okay, so glucose plus oxygen gives us water, carbon dioxide, and energy. For the one before this, you just have to memorize the chemical equations. Cellular blank is a set of reactions during which blank energy stored in nutrient molecules is converted into forms that can be used by the cell. Okay, so this is cellular respiration. Okay, so I think it's chemical, because then the chemical energy stored in nutrients is what turns into ATP, which is the form of energy that can be used by the cell. Anaerobic respiration takes place in the cytoplasm of a cell. Okay, in animals, muscle cells make ATP when oxygen is low using the blank pathway in a process called blank. Okay, so using the anaerobic pathway in a process called anaerobic respiration. Anaerobic respiration. Some microorganisms can respire anaerobically by breaking down glucose molecules into alcohol and carbon dioxide in a process called alcoholic fermentation. Okay. During lactic acid fermentation, muscle cells make ATP using the anaerobic pathway in which glucose molecules are broken down into okay, so glucose molecules are broken down into lactic acid in the absence of oxygen. Okay, during exercise, the increasing demands for oxygen blank cannot be immediately compensated by the blank and circulatory systems. Therefore, muscle cells switch to blank fermentation to obtain energy. Okay, increase for oxygen, demand for oxygen cannot be immediately compensated by the respiratory and circulatory systems. Therefore, muscle cells switch to lactic acid fermentation. During lactic acid fermentation, glucose molecules are broken down with the release of energy. Oh, wait. Okay. Lactic acid and energy. The lactic acid that accumulates in the muscles and blood during strenuous exercise is broken down in the blank in the presence of blank. Okay, broken down in the liver in the presence of oxygen. The amount of oxygen required to oxidize and remove lactic acid is called the oxygen debt. Okay, next question, last question. Alcoholic fermentation is performed by some microorganisms in the absence of oxygen. It is associated with the production of fewer ATP molecules than aerobic respiration. I really have to know how to spell this. That's fine. Because alcohol still contains a lot of energy that the organism is unable to use. Okay, let's see the mistakes. Okay, that's fine. Is that all? Okay, so this is the only mistake. Indicates the condition necessary for this process to occur. Okay, so I think I put oxygen is abundant last time, but it's oxygen is in short supply because I forgot, but lactic acid fermentation happens when there is no oxygen because you don't have enough oxygen to perform aerobic respiration. Okay, so I'm honestly not sure. I guess I'm just gonna see the answers because I feel like my answers made sense, especially muscle. Let's see. Maybe I did like spelling mistake or something. Next, anaerobic respiration is defined as the. Oh, it's actually. I guess chemical. Last time I put cellular. No, maybe it's chemical. Okay. Aerobic respiration is defined as the chemical reactions in cells that use aerobic respiration is defined as the chemical reactions in cells that use I guess it could be oxygen because aerobic respiration uses oxygen, but I thought that they want what literally breaks down the nutrients. Circle the substance that traps the energy available in glucose during need formation. I honestly think this is ATP. We'll see the answer. Okay. And a process in animals, muscle cells make ATP when oxygen is low using the anaerobic passageway in a process called, I think, lactic acid fermentation. Because if it's not anaerobic respiration, then it's the type of anaerobic respiration, which is lactic acid fermentation. Okay. This was correct second try. So yeah, I read it wrong. I understood the question wrong. Sorry. Then for this one, protein, that's what I put. What? Maybe I spelled this wrong. Okay. Energy is used to synthesize protein from amino acids. Okay. From amino acids for growth. Energy is used to carry out cell activities like growth, development, and cell division. And energy is used to allow muscle contraction. Okay, so muscle and protein, I guess I just spelled it wrong or something. And then amino acids and growth. Sorry, I don't know. And then, okay. And then the rest, except, okay, this one's not right. So the rest except for this one are correct, second try. And this one is ethanol. Personally, I don't remember reading this in the book, but I guess it was in the book and I just missed it. But yeah, that's it.